This tutorial will cover the Christmas song. This is meant for students that have some basic knowledge of chords, but are just getting into seventh chords, chords beyond just 3 notes. And the techniques we'll talk about as we go through and instruct how to play this on a very basic level will be what we call shell voicings, playing not the full 4-note 7th chords. We're going to be choosing the 1 and the 7 and also the 3, but taking out a note or two to open up the sound a little bit. So let's get right into it. I'm going to play just the introduction. Okay, so for our study on this piece, we want to go through all the left-hand shapes, make sure that we have the 7 chords down first. So we're going to go ahead and cover that. Anytime we see a root chord, and you'll notice the first chord is a C major chord, we have the option of adding a major 7 to that chord. But for now, we're just going to leave it as a triad, and we can embellish or we can change that later. So we start with our C major chord. You'll notice is the first chord. And then we're going to go to a D minor 7 chord. Here's what a D minor 7 chord looks like in root position, but we're going to take out the A. We're going to play 1, 3, 7. It's going to have a little bit more open sound, not as clustered with all of these thirds stacked on top. And then we go back down to a C major 7, so the same shape we're going to use almost on all of these 7th chords. 1, 3, 7. You notice I'm taking out the 5. If you take out a tone, the first one you want to remove is the 5. It is the least important of all of the 4 tones in a 7th chord. And then we go to the G7. I'm only going to play the 1 and the 7. The reason for that is it gets kind of muddy when you add the 3rd because we're getting lower on the keyboard. So that'll be the case for several of these chords. So C major, triad, 1, 3, 7 on the D minor 7 chord, C major 7 chord, and then G7, just the shell, the 1 and the 7. C major chord, C7, 1, 3, and the 7, and then we're going to go up to the F major. So for all of these major chords, in pretty much every single chord except for a few, we're going to play them in root position, and this is going to allow you to keep the harmony stable. Okay, there are lots of different ways to play this, but introducing into a new concept, we want to try to keep our roots. And then we have the E7, 1, 3, 7. Okay, so I'm going to add the melody on top of that. And the hands do kind of connect together, but that's fine. Okay, now in some of these open spaces, that actually allows for you to add some notes into the voicing. For example, right here, the G and the F, we can add the B, we can actually add that E and tie it over. That's actually a G13. And we have a lot of options there as well, but we're going to go ahead and leave that space. All right, so moving forward, we're to the Yuletide Carol. Here, we can play an A minor down here, but that is it's pretty deep, okay? So what I would like to do is actually turn that A minor chord that you see right there, that A minor chord, we're going to turn that into an A minor 7, open up the sound a little bit, and then when we get to our F minor 6, here's what F minor 6 looks like in root position. However, we're already in that area with our right hand. We could do an F and A flat, or we could invert the chord. We could play an F minor over C, and that would allow us to actually smoothly connect into the C major chord. So that's how I'd like to teach it. So starting from the Yuletide, A minor 7, we're going to treat this as just an F minor over C because the 6 is actually in the melody. And then just your regular C major triad. And then here's your B7. We're going to play 1, 3, 7. There we go. E major, root position of the left hand. B flat 9, just think of it as a B flat 7. And you're just going to play the 1, 3, 7 like we've been doing on almost all of these 7th chords. And then the E flat major 7, we'll just go ahead and jump up. 1, 3, 7. And then the G7, we're going to play just the shell, the 1 and the 7. Because that B is going to muddy up that voicing. Okay, from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me kind of get this here. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now the one easy trick to getting the arrangement to flow a little bit better is to actually improvise the rhythms a little bit. You'll notice I didn't play everything straight, quarter, quarter, eighth, 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 eighth. I added some rubato elements. I lengthened some of the notes, and part of that is just having some improvisational experience. The other thing that you can do is you can start adding rhythm with the left hand. And it's very simply, you just unblocking the chord and kind of having a rocking motion with what you're playing. An arpeggiated kind of style, flowing motion in this particular piece. And you can very easily take a blocked sounding type of rhythm and make it a lot more flowing. You just have to focus on getting the coordination comfortable. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on. And we are nose of turkey and some mistletoe. Let me make sure that... all right, so this is the same as before. So C major, D minor 7, the 1, 3, 7, 1, 3, 7, the G7 shell, C major, C7, all this is the same before, and then we have the A minor 7, F minor over C, there we go. Alright, so now we have the B7, we're going to use the 1, 3, 7 approach. Same thing as we've been doing before. All right, so now we have 4 chords that are changing every single beat. Okay, so we're gonna connect 2 chords together. C to the A minor 7. Hey, we already played that earlier, right? C major, A minor 7. Okay, when we get to the D minor to the G7, we're going to play these with the 2-note shells. D and F for the D minor 7, and then G and F like we played earlier. Notice how that's really, really smooth. We have a common tone F tying that together. So it sounds like this: C, A minor 7, D minor, G7, and then C. Okay, now on some of these C major chords, if that seems pretty dry, if you want to add some color, you can add a 6. 6 is a very, very popular, it's a great way to color your chord without it making it stick out. You can also do your major 7 as well. All right, so I'm going to play that line, Eyes Aglow, right there. Okay, moving on to the bridge. So what we're going to do here, since we have our B flat up here, and it's a pretty big jump. So what I would like to do, we can do two things here. We can do 1-7 up to the 1-3-7, or we can do 1-7 to the 1-3. Let's go ahead, we'll just kind of move the left hand around. So we're going to do left hand, left hand G and F for the G7, G minor 7, and then up to the 1-3-7. Now if you have problem moving that around, what you want to do is just stay in that area, and we'll do the alternative, which is G and F to C and E. Okay, now we can either come down and play the shell down here, just the 1 and the 7, because we don't want that 3 in there. Or we can come up. I think that's a nice sounding voicing. So we're going to come up to the F major 7. All right, so we have an F minor 7. We could play it up here, or we could come down. I like to go down to this F minor 7. So we're going to play just the 1 and the 7. And then we're going to come up and play the B flat 9. Think of it as just a B flat 7, 1-3-7. And then come up to the E flat major 7, 1-3-7. All right, so I'm going to play the bridge all the way to that point. Shell, 1, 3, and 7. 7, 1, 3, and 7. Okay, so we get to an A minor 7. We've done that earlier. We can play the 1, 3, and 7 voicing. 1, 3, and 7 for the for the D7. And we can just stay there. Now we could drop down like we did before. We have the quick moving 2-5, the D minor to the G7, but we don't need to do that. We're just going to stay here. So from the D7 to the D minor 7, you're just going to lower your F sharp to the F, and then you're going to drop down to the G and the F. Okay, so I'm going to play just that little section, starting from And Every Mother's Child. All right, so now we get back. We're at the outro. or the coda or the final verse. And this is just like the second part of the verse that we've already played. Okay, so now we have this 1-6-2-5 progression just like before. So we're going to connect the C to the A minor 7. And then we're going to have these 2-note shells for the D minor 7 and G7. All right, so there are so many opportunities to add more to this piece once you have the basic sevenths. But if you can play this, it'll allow you to have all the color you need to have the basis for the tune, be able to enjoy all of the wonderful melodies and how they correspond to the kind of these traditional jazz changes. And then there's so much more opportunity to move forward and to advance that arrangement. So have fun with this, and we'll see you next time.